Hello everyone, my name is Jeffrey Kennedy and welcome back to another episode of Market Academy. Well, today we're going to be talking about complex corrections. Now, if you've ever had to deal with a complex correction, it's kind of confusing, it's somewhat frustrating, and in today's episode, I want to kind of clarify a few things about this specific wave pattern. So this is a price chart of Xylem, ticker symbol XYL. And what we have here off the high that began back in April of 2024 into the January low, I believe that to be a complex correction. Now, as a complex correction, it is a counter trend move. So ultimately, I do believe that entire sell-off will indeed be retraced as we move deeper into 2025. So the way I actually break these pattern down, this complex correction, is this, where we have A down, expanded flat B, followed by a C. This is a W. Then we have our three-wave move up for wave X, and then we have another move to the downside. Now, specifically, and again, this is where I kind of want to get into, say, some points of clarification regarding the topic or the subject of complex correction. So first and foremost, complex correction, I don't really like that term, complex correction, because all a complex correction is, it is two corrective wave patterns joined together by an X wave. So for example, here we have this 5-3-5 pattern. That's a zigzag. We do have that expanded flat in the wave B position, but it does break down into a zigzag. That is a 5-3-5 pattern. And then the final move, wave Y, is also a zigzag, a 5-3-5 formation as well. Okay, so this is technically falls into that category of what we would term or call technically correct to be a double zigzag. Okay, see, this is where complex corrections kind of get a little bit confusing, and I hope to clarify again the idea of this specific pattern in today's lesson. Okay, so complex correction, that term, it is really an umbrella term. So a complex correction actually includes or incorporates double zigzags, and I'll show you some examples, double threes, and what we also too call combinations. Okay, so in this instance here, this is actually a double zigzag. Also too, I would like to actually do something new that I've never done before, offer a new term. So instead of calling it a complex correction, let's simply call it an extended correction. Okay, that actually makes a lot more sense to me, and also too, by removing the word complex, it has a bit of a negative connotation to it as well. All a complex correction is, it's an extended correction. Rather than having one single corrective pattern, you actually have two. Okay, so again, whenever we're working with corrective structures like wave 2, wave 4, wave B, typically we look for one of these patterns, the zigzag, the flat, or the triangle. Those are our three foundational patterns. But if we connect two of the patterns together, for example, call this a corrective structure, then this becomes a zigzag. That's our X wave, and then this actually turns out to be a flat correction. Okay, so again, I don't really care for the term complex correction. So moving forward, if I'll probably most likely use the terms interchangeably. Complex correction, all it is, it's an extended correction. It just simply means there's two corrective structures joined together by an X wave. Okay, so there's nothing complex about it. So here's some examples. Again, once we dive a little bit deeper into that extended wave or complex correction, say, topic, you have the double zigzag, which is up here to the upper corner left, where you have two zigzags, A, B, C, that's a W, X wave. Again, that'll be like an ABC. That move, that X wave, it could be a zigzag, it could be a flat, it could be a triangle, or X waves can sometimes also too be complex corrections or extended corrections as well. So you can have a small WXY for wave X, and then you have that second zigzag to the downside. Over here in the upper right, this is a double three, where you have an ABC for a flat, then an X wave, and then another ABC for a flat. So you have two flats joined together by that X wave. Now here we have the combination, where in this instance here I've identified a flat correction in wave W, X wave, followed by a zigzag. So we have a flat X wave, and then zigzag. Now, one thing that's also too kind of frustrating and kind of interesting about the extended correction topic, the complex correction, formerly known as complex correction, is sometimes you can actually have a contracting triangle in the wave Y position. This would also too equate to a combination because you have a zigzag X wave followed by a contracting triangle. Now, this is exceedingly rare formation. I think maybe in 10 years I've counted maybe 2 or 3 of them. Very, very rare, but they do occur. Typically what you'll see would be, say, the double zigzag. That's probably the most common, or a variation of the combination where it's either a zigzag flat or flat zigzag, followed probably by the double 3. Okay, now just to share with you some tips and tricks that I use personally to identify this formation. Whenever you're working with a 7-wave price move, okay, remember going back to our core template, how many waves does a zigzag have? It has 3, A, B, C. How many waves does a flat have? 3, A, B, C. Okay, how many waves does a complex correction, WXY, have? It has 7, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, that's our W. Then we have our 4, okay, and then we have A, B, C. So it's basically a total count of 7 primary moves, as you can see in this example. And also, too, when it comes to drawing the corrective price channel, whenever you're encountering a complex correction, you would naturally kind of think that we would go off the origin of W against the X wave extreme and then drop that down. That works. I find that does work, but one thing that I've kind of become more accustomed to is actually utilizing the extreme of wave B of Y. So that would be our wave 6 wave right here, the wave 6. Okay. So if we go back to this example of what my labeled price chart, again, you can start off initially whenever you're drawing the corrective price channel when it comes to an extended correction, is just go off the W and the X like what you would traditionally do with a zigzag, but also too, it's kind of a variation of the way we draw the corrective price channel whenever we're encountering a flat correction. I like to utilize the extreme of wave B. And what this often does is it kind of creates a little bit of a zone here between the 2 trend lines where you would tend to, say, expect the termination of the actual pattern, as you can see, which is precisely what occurred in Xylem here. Again, ticker symbol XYL. Now, here's another question. When is an extended correction, formerly known as the complex correction, when are they most likely to occur? When should you be on the lookout for them? Okay, well, simply put, and this is again why I like the new terminology, extended correction. Extended corrections tend to follow extended waves. Okay, now over here to the left, we have a basic 5-wave move. This is your classical impulsive structure. 1 up, 2 down, 3, pull back and 4, up and 5. Now the proportion I would tend to see in this example here to the left is that wave 3 would equal most likely a 1.618 multiple of its corresponding wave 1. If that's the kind of Fibonacci proportion you're experiencing in a standard, say, an impulsive wave development, then I most likely would say, hey, you're going to encounter a single corrective pattern. So in other words, this 4 is most likely just going to be a simple zigzag, a simple flat, or a simple contracting triangle. But on the other hand, over here to the example on the right, if you have wave 1 up, wave 2 down, and then this third wave is like say a 2.0 or a 2.618 multiple of a corresponding wave 1, then that's truly going to be the extended wave. In which case, I would most likely look for that extended wave to be followed by an extended correction. This is where you're most likely going to encounter a WXY, because remember, complex corrections tend to occur when a single correction is insufficient in correcting the totality of the preceding move. So if you have the preceding move be a very large move, then odds are that a single corrective structure is simply not going to be sufficient in correcting that price move. The market needs to digest that movement, okay? And the way it does that is by forming the extended correction, okay? Well, that's about it for me for today. As always, thank you very, very much. And I hope this clarifies a few things about what is, again, traditionally viewed as a kind of a complicated, frustrating wave pattern. Again, I really don't think it is. If you just simply break it down into, number one, where it's most likely to occur, its primary subdivisions, i.e. a 7-wave price move. And again, rather than utilizing the terminology a complex correction, just simply understand it's an extended correction. You just have two corrective structures, again, joined together by the intervening X wave. Okay, everyone, have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.